and you thought everything was a-okay with Nintendo. It's always fascinating to see the many opinions that are out there. Everybody has a thought to their own, and sometimes when you feel like Nintendo's doing really well, somebody comes along and says, oh my gosh, this is big trouble. They had a very cool, crafty, creative presentation for Tears of the Kingdom. They dropped an OLED, and by all accounts, things are hunky-dory, with their biggest Switch release ever just a little bit away. Yet I found an absolutely fascinating article that we have to react to together, because this is the 10 reasons Nintendo has us worried, and I'm really not so sure. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Let me know your reaction to these 10 things in the comments down below. Look, I don't know who What Culture is, but apparently they're going to try and culture us on why Nintendo is in trouble. This just really struck me, because everything's been good, and then I saw this sad Mario face, and I was like, wait, what? What? Isn't the biggest game about to come out? Aren't they're adding 5 characters to Mario Kart? What's going on, friends? Apparently Nintendo has us real worried, and they're going to tell us why. So we're just going to start right into it. These articles and just ideas and opinions are always intriguing to me. Number 10, we might never get a Mario Kart 9. So they assert that Nintendo has us worried because they have taken the success of Mario Kart 8 into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Course Booster Pass. They're insinuating that there might not be a full-blown sequel, that they could just continue to expand and extend Mario Kart 8 in perpetuity. Okay, let's figure this out here. So they extended Mario Kart 8, and now they're going to just keep extending it. They're not going to release a new one. They're just going to keep bringing new additions to Mario Kart 8. I've actually heard this theory one other place where they were like, what if they just port Mario Kart 8 Deluxe plus Course Booster Pass to Switch 2, and that's their new Mario Kart? I think this is real wonky thinking. I think someone's had a few too many toads, because Nintendo will absolutely make a Mario Kart 9. There's way too much money on the table, there's way too many records to be crushed, and there's way too many fans that are hungry to buy another full-price product that says Mario Kart. Could it be Mario Kart 8 Double Deluxe? I really don't think so. I think they've stretched this one about as thin as they can, and to say that they're going to go a whole nother generation just stretching this seems really counterintuitive if you follow Nintendo. Nintendo is not at the forefront of games as services. In fact, their closest thing to it, Animal Crossing New Horizons, they practically abandoned when it was thriving because they're just so anti whatever everybody else is doing. So keeping Mario Kart as a platform and just pushing more courses in on the next system seems insanely, microscopically unlikely. Believe you me, you and I will play Mario Kart 9 sometime in the near future. The 9th reason we should be worried is what happened to Metroid Prime 4 and Retro Studios. They go on to discuss how there was the restart of development, we got the lovely Prime 4 logo, and haven't had a new Metroid Prime since 2007. They kind of forget that we just had Metroid Prime Remastered, and that really greased the wheels for how interesting and exciting a modern controlled, modern developed Metroid Prime could be. They say with the first major Nintendo Direct of the year passing by with no concept art, stills, or even a snippet of a trailer, fans are questioning exactly when we'll see this 4th part. I think we'll see it sooner rather than later. It just wasn't the right time. Clearly Nintendo is operating in a very strange portal of time alteration where they're not at E3, they don't have anything announced, and who knows what they're up to. But setting that aside, Metroid Prime 4 has never left the coming soon category for Nintendo. This game is not getting abandoned. It's not going to take 10 years to come out. In fact, we're probably getting closer than ever. And I think Metroid Prime Remaster's release signals that more than anything. The fact that they were like, okay, press launch on a game we've heard has been done for a while, really does get the appetites ready for another Metroid Prime. And based on its top of Metacritic review scores, it shows that Prime still is a formula that will succeed in 2023 or beyond. I think Metroid Prime 4 is actually close, and you should be super excited for it, not concerned. It's instead a reason to be really excited what Nintendo has next, rather than a reason to be worried about what they're doing now. The 8th reason is, will Nintendo ever announce a Switch 2? They talk about how we need a new Switch. They really need to up their reputation, and they really need to silence critics of the weaker Switch hardware, and they really need to come out with a new system with DLSS. Like, we don't want them to rush this out. We don't want them to chop into the Switch lifecycle or chop into how much money we invest in this Switch. I mean, we're hoping it's backwards compatible, but regardless, Nintendo taking time to announce a Switch 2, I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, yeah, like it would be exciting if it was already announced, if we knew what they were doing this summer, if we had an idea what their holiday plans were, that would be great. But the idea that it's urgent to upgrade the Switch has been completely disproven by how much juice they're sucking out of Tears of the Kingdom. That game, you can literally pick up rocks, logs, trees, branches, mushrooms, eyeballs, horns, whatever you find, and fuse it together. I guess we don't need a billion teraflops and DLSS technology to make cool game design happen. Mechanics have always been Nintendo's strong suit, and even if they stay underpowered forever, I think they'll be fine. Number 7 is Microsoft's promised Call of Duty may not work. Okay, this is just complete conjecture and speculation, although I don't fault them for being worried. They're talking about how Microsoft and the Activision Blizzard deal has promised a 10-year commitment to Nintendo Switch, releasing Call of Duty, the same game, the same time. I thought that was pretty darn awesome, kind of crazy, but they seem very confident in it. They go on to talk about how, not going to fit onto a cartridge. How are they going to do this? How is crossplay going to work? Won't Switch users be at a severe disadvantage because of controls and lag and frame rate? I would leave that to the developers. I'm not sure that this 10-year cycle is going to begin immediately or even next year, and therefore they have time to let Nintendo's hardware develop. I think they know what Nintendo is probably planning, and if there is indeed a stronger piece of hardware, then Call of Duty should be fine. The idea that Call of Duty couldn't run on a Switch also is a bit disproven by games like Witcher 3 and Doom Eternal doing pretty darn fine in the system. FPS isn't the prominent genre on Switch, but it's definitely not something to have you super worried about. 6 is who will steer Nintendo into 2024 and beyond, and they've taken a shot at my boy Miyamoto, saying that he's 70 years old and he's heavily involved in the Mario Bros. Movie and the theme parks. All of that is true. That's fact. He is heavily involved and he is getting older, but I do think that Miyamoto still has an influence in the company. And based on the Switch releases, I don't think we're in any sort of talent crater. Look, Nintendo has plenty of talented people on their EPD design teams, and it seems like Furukawa is steering the ship pretty darn strongly. They talk about, should Furukawa become more public and pivot and be a producer? I don't know if that's what's needed here. They mentioned Furukawa's age, saying that he has youth behind him and can be the head of Nintendo for decades, but he doesn't have the instant recognition of Aonuma, Sakurai, or Miyamoto. I don't get this one at all. Nintendo has plenty of talented designers, and it's not like Miyamoto and Aonuma and Sakurai are just dropping dead anytime soon. In fact, they look healthy, happy, and excited as ever. And there's nothing wrong with an injection of new talent, but Nintendo seems to be doing well with that, as judged by the awesome developments we've seen out of Zelda, Mario, Kirby, and much more. Number 5 is probably their most legit concern. It's the Wii U and 3DS eShop closures are a troubling sign. And yeah, I get that. It is true. The fact that we're already just done with these systems, their eShops, is upsetting. And it's something that we knew we'd have to wrestle with one day in a digital world. I don't think it means the Switch eShop is going to be shutting down super soon, nor do I think it's a panic button for the future. I just think it's something to note. They talk about perhaps we could get 3DS games on the Switch Virtual Console expansion pack. I don't know that that's coming, and that's also probably not necessary. But there is some validity to, hey, how does Nintendo handle its classic catalog if they're going to be shuttering the downloadable components? But in some ways, those are just those downloadable games. You still can go get a cartridge for Mario Kart 7. You can pick up Link Between Worlds. You can go grab Zombie U if that's what you want to do. Preservation is a tricky subject, especially with digital. It's a valid concern. Number 4 is third-party AAA games on Switch. I guess just in general. They're talking about there's no way the Switch could run the Dead Space remake. The newer Resident Evils are cloud versions, and could Microsoft actually port Call of Duty? We know the FIFA port is a poor one from EA, but I feel like this is just cherry-picking the bad examples and the weird cloud services. Because there's plenty of third-party games that do look and perform and run really good on Switch, and apparently we're still getting Hogwarts Legacy and Marvel's Midnight Suns, which would be great third-party additions. I'm not saying the Switch is a third-party powerhouse by any stretch of the imagination, but in theory that will be fixed with the release of new hardware, and as you can see, the absolute smashing success that the system is ensures that you're still getting a wide range of content, whether it's in the form of indies, third parties, downloadable Nintendo. There's quite a bunch of stuff on there. They even do reference The Witcher 3, Crysis Remastered, Doom, Final Fantasy, but then they're kind of also making the claim that we just need bigger budget development on Switch. Mario Kart selling 50 million, Animal Crossing the same. I don't know that everybody on Switch wants the most beautiful graphics. They say Nintendo risks losing out on great games over the next decade if they don't step it up with their hardware, but, well, the Switch isn't lasting for another decade. There absolutely will be better hardware in the next decade, probably in the next 720 days, and therefore it's safe to assume that Nintendo will be able to acquire more third-party contracts and attract more third-party games. I feel like this is kind of like a very wishy-washy point, and one that is swiftly solved by the new hardware that, like, it'll be here soon enough. Their third reason for Nintendo having us worried is they're leaving games to languish in Wii U purgatory. Oh, this is a spicy one, because they're asserting that it's actually bad that we don't have more Wii U ports. Huh? I don't know if I can buy into this even 1%. Like, yeah, it would be great to have a Wind Waker portable version, but the idea that these games are languishing in Wii U purgatory and need to be put on Switch is a little strong. Like, we do have quite the collection, and they acknowledge that there have been many Wii U games that have made their transition to Switch. They call out Star Fox Zero, Yoshi's Woolly World, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and the Zelda, supposedly the HD versions that were coming are stuck in this Wii U purgatory. I just don't see it that way. I do think eventually they will re-release Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, and it'll probably be on the Switch or the Switch 2, hybrid system so that you can play them on the go. I know some people want Xenoblade Chronicles X to come across, and maybe there's other titles that you'd like as well, but I really don't think that a lack of new Wii U ports is a problem at all. Number 2 is no new Mario game in time for the Mario Bros. Movie. Okay, look, another decent thought here, because I had the same one. Like, why is there no new Mario game in line with the Mario Bros. Movie? That seems strange that you're pushing a giant dog towards your front door because of probably a package delivery, and at the same time, a movie is coming to theaters for your most famous character. Not having a new game for... My dog hates that there's no new Mario. I know, Harley. I know. I'm sorry. Maybe this holiday season. I know. It's been 6 years. He loved Odyssey. Bowser's Fury is good. So yes, it's a bit weird that there is no new Mario game, but there'll be a Mario game soon. Like, this isn't Nintendo signaling that it's the end of Mario, it's just signaling that it's not ready and they feel like the movie can carry itself. They are dropping the Mario console, or they recently did, so you can grab that bundle and feel like you're playing alongside the red overalled man. They call out Mario Bros. Deluxe, Bowser's Fury. How about a Nintendo Lego title, they say? I mean, that would be fantastic, but that's just now picking things out of thin air. I think we'll get an Odyssey 2 or the next 3D Mario sometime soon. But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, it is a little bit weird, but I don't think that's a concern. It's more just like, dang, we would have loved another Mario game because they're so much fun. And their number one worry is the weirdest, worst one yet. Why does Tears of the Kingdom have no post-game DLC? Come on! We're not even going to talk about this. Why doesn't it have post-game DLC? Are you serious? The game's not even out. We barely found out that there's a new mechanic called Fuse and Ultra Hand, and you want DLC reveals? They talk about how there's no DLC reveals yet for the game. We barely have the game revealed. Are you kidding me? Come on, let us play the game and get through it. We're paying $70 already. I don't think we need to fork over an additional $30 or $40 for DLC just yet. I'm sure it'll come in due time, but for now, that has been the 10 reasons Nintendo should have us worried, and honestly, 8 of them are pretty dumb. 2 of them have some validity, but really, I think Nintendo's in a good position. I think we'll get a new console soon, and Tears of the Kingdom is going to freaking rock our little doggy socks off. All right, in the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. From myself and Harley, SwitchForce. Ow!